I think inflammation is just at the root of all these so many problems and is a problem that, a lot of people have. And this is a way that we know for sure that can help and decrease inflammation and also reduce any type of pain and help to, return back the biological clock. And the great news is you feel great. I mean, you feel great while you're doing it. And we want people to feel better and to be able to do more of what they love to do with the people they love to do it with and live their fullest life.
This is Doctor Talks.
Well, welcome back to the Conquering Chronic Inflammation Summit. I'm your host, Dr. David Jockers, and today I'm interviewing Connie Zack from Sunlighten. We're talking about going beyond pills, how infrared therapy targets the root of chronic inflammation. We're doing a deep dive on infrared sauna therapy, and Connie is one of the world's leading experts on infrared sauna therapy. And she's a co-owner of Sunlighten, the global leader in infrared light therapy and infrared sauna manufacturing. After seeing how spending time in an infrared sauna transformed her brother's traumatic health issues, Connie and her husband committed everything they had to helping others through the benefits of nature's healing infrared light. They've now spent more than 25 years bringing light, hope, and happiness to people around the world. And Sunlighten is the leader in infrared sauna therapy. Guys, if you're interested in an infrared sauna, check out get.sunlighten.com/Dr. Jockers and use the coupon code Jockers at checkout. That'll save you up to $600 on your order. And even if you're interested in just learning more about sauna, not only listen to this interview, but just check out get.sunlighten.com. And their team is great. They'll help educate you and find the best sauna for your budget and your health goals. So be sure to check them out. You can use that coupon code Jockers to save money if you are going to purchase. But other than that, just go and check out the different infrared sauna options out there. This is one of the best anti-inflammatory healing tools you can use. People see complete transformation in their health by committing to a regular habit of using an infrared sauna, something I personally do, as I'll talk about in this interview, and something I highly recommend. So be sure to check that out, get.sunlighten.com/Dr. Jockers. Use that coupon code Jockers at checkout to save up to $600. And without further ado, let's go into the interview with Connie Zack. Well, I'm here with Connie Zack, the developer of Sunlighten, or a co-owner of Sunlighten. We're talking all about beyond pills, how infrared therapy targets the root of chronic inflammation. And so, Connie, great to connect with you here. Let's talk about Sunlighten and how that came about, how you guys developed this great infrared sauna therapy company.
Well, thank you. Well, thanks for the compliment. Sunlighten was started over 20 years ago. My brother was really ill and he was diagnosed with heavy metal toxicity from his mercury leaking into the mercury from his fillings leaking into his body from his dentist. So that diagnosis led to a solution that his dentist recommended, which was infrared. His dentist told him that he had been doing some research and there was some data suggesting infrared can potentially detoxify the body. And my brother had tried everything and nothing worked. So he tried infrared sauna and it changed his life. And it put him back on the road to recovery, slowly but surely. And it was the slowly but surely aspect that led me to believe there has to be a better way to do this and to perfect the technology. And I left my corporate job in pharmaceuticals. I was at Procter & Gamble in the head home office and decided to just leave and bring infrared technology to the world. So
Yeah, that's great. And I talk a lot about functional nutrition, how the food we put in our body is so critically important because food is a form of information that we're bringing to the cells of our body, but light is just as important. The light that we're exposed to or not exposed to is a form of information that's helping tell the cells how to adapt to their environment. And infrared is a wavelength that we don't actually see, but we're exposed to it in nature when we go outside. Can you explain more about infrared, what it is?
Yeah, and thanks for bringing up the concept of light because I think it is so important for people to understand that the importance of light energy and getting as much light energy into the body as possible. It's something we do not do as much as our ancestors did because they were outside more. So infrared is this magical wavelength of light that comes from the sun. The majority of the sun's rays are in the infrared spectrum. There's three different parts of the spectrum of light, which is far infrared, mid infrared, and near infrared. And each part has specific frequencies that the body needs in order to transform the cells. So I always talk about infrared as energy medicine because it's really it's more than just heat. It is really something that transforms, and supercharges your cells. And it's really infrared is needed. Just like the sun is needed for plants with photosynthesis. I mean, infrared is that same type of wavelength that's needed for us to survive. And it's a very safe and natural and healing wavelength. The feeling of infrared, if people listening have never, like, if they're not kind of familiar with an infrared sauna, but they want to know how it feels, it's when you go outside and it's cloudy and then all of a sudden the sun peeks out from the clouds. That feeling of, oh gosh, there's the sun. And you feel it's almost like a blanket around you. Just feel this wonderful natural energy. That's the way you feel when you get inside a sunlight and
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And infrared, again, we don't actually see it, right? But when we're
correct.
going outside, we're exposed to it. And is there a particular time of day when, the different elements or the different wavelengths of infrared are more available than others?
Well, the data shows that, sunrise and sunset
Hmm.
are some of the ideal times to be outside to help with your circadian rhythm. So, the infrared, you can't see it, but you can feel it. And the two wavelengths of far infrared and mid infrared are felt by heat.
Right.
And then near infrared, which is completely invisible and you have to receive it by LEDs, is light energy. You cannot see it at all. And then there's red light, which is right next to near infrared, that is visible. And the difference between red and near, I get that question a lot, is that near penetrates a little bit deeper and it penetrates the skin. So it's extremely powerful. And so does red, but it doesn't go as deep. And then red is visible and near is not visible. And so those are the four different, it's really three because near, infrared, and red light are the kind of in the same spectrum. But I try and separate it out because red you can see and near infrared you can't see. And those two are received by light energy, mid and far are received by heat. So you would sweat with far and mid, you would not sweat with near and red. And the sauna that we have behind us, Impulse, has all four wavelengths delivered separately, independently, and where you can isolate them or you can have them all together in 6 different programs, which we can talk about. Then
So, how does
traditional
infrared help with inflammation in general?
infrared helps by so many different ways. So, first of all, far infrared has been studied to help activate a gene that controls inflammation. So it helps to make sure and reduce inflammation with that mechanism of action. It also is known to help circulation and increase blood flow and increase oxygen to the tissues. So that helps with reducing inflammation. It also helps to reduce oxidative stress, which is huge with inflammation and huge with aging, as you know. And then probably one of my favorite benefits, because I'm just so about doing, easy things to help the mind, is it helps to decrease stress by balancing your hormones and decreasing cortisol. And that stress is such, and stress leads to chronic inflammation. So those are some of the ways that infrared helps.
Powerfully help charge our mitochondria and also helps with circulation as well with the nitric oxide production, right? So it helps improve circulation, oxygen delivery to all the different tissues. Also the mitochondrial melatonin production as well, right? And so
Yes.
helps clean up oxidative stress around the mitochondria.
Yes, yeah, the impact on mitochondria is overwhelmingly positive. Because what's great about infrared is you have those three, to four different parts of the spectrum that activate the body's cells in different ways. And so, for example, with far infrared, that's absorbed into the cells and it significantly helps the mitochondrial function and helps to power up more mitochondria and so you get more energy. And then near and red light and together known as photobiomodulation, there's tons of data showing how much they penetrate the skin and then supercharge your mitochondria as well. So you're getting this whole body, impact that it decreases inflammation. And it's one of the few natural therapies that I know of that affects every single system in your body because of there's different wavelengths and each wavelength is absorbed at a different part of your body. It starts to increase the flow and increase the circulation, which promotes the activity of every single system. I mean, there is no system in your body that is not impacted by the infrared wavelength, and as a result, you get this wonderful decrease in inflammation, which helps you increase longevity because inflammation leads to increased accelerated aging.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to saunas, there's obviously dry saunas and steam saunas, and a lot of people have gone in and experienced those. What is different about an infrared sauna than your typical dry or steam saunas?
The way the heat is delivered. So that's the big difference is the experience. So when you're inside a Sunlighten sauna, feels gentle and radiant because the infrared energy bypasses the air and it goes directly into your body. And so the result of that is you're experiencing this heat and light at lower temperatures. And what's happening is your body, when you're like breathing, it's not, I get feeling a lot of times of going into a traditional sauna, sometimes it takes your breath away, because it's so hot. And a lot of people can't stay in there very long because it's so hot. Infrared is not that way at all. It's gentle. You still sweat and you're still increasing your heart rate and you're still getting all these amazing benefits, but it's a very enjoyable experience because the energy is absorbed into the body. Traditional or dry saunas, you get hot because the air is hot. So you're immersed in an environment with hot air and that's your experience. And that's why I call it energy medicine, because it's a transfer of energy into your body and into your cells. And then it starts to work, it starts to increase the blood flow and you can feel everything working, which is so awesome. And I can sometimes feel if I have pain associated with inflammation in my body, I can start to feel everything starting to reduce. It's very, very powerful, very enjoyable, but very powerful weapon.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, heat in general is very therapeutic, right? So getting in any type of sauna, there can be incredible benefits. Obviously, the sweating, you're helping to improve circulation, you're helping to move toxins out of your body, but also just the heat activating heat shock proteins, which help reduce inflammation and activate autophagy and cellular healing. So there's great benefits to just the heat in general that you'll experience in a sauna, but infrared actually is what penetrates deep into the tissues and actually helps to increase that mitochondrial melatonin production and charge up the cellular structures.
Exactly. Exactly. All heat is good. Infrared is just a different type and impacts the body in different ways. And the thing I really like is how it affects every single system. So
Mm.
it significantly helps with detoxification, as I mentioned, with my brother's story, and it helps with detoxification through sweat, but also through all of the other organs, because that that flow that's happening inside your body is something that I really strongly believe so many people need today, because I think a lot of people just aren't as mobile, and they just have things going on in their body that's causing inflammation, and they're just stuck,
Yeah.
and this helps this energy by the way that it's absorbed into the cells, especially if you get all the different wavelengths, because then you're you know attacking everything. It starts to increase the flow and increase the mobility of everything, and the mitochondria, like, just if you can just like picture helping to increase the function of your mitochondria. I mean, that's just so powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ultimately, cellular health is going to come down to mitochondrial health. And I always say the quality of your life is going to come down to the amount of high functioning, stress resilient mitochondria that you have in the cells of your body. And infrared is one of the ways that we enhance overall mitochondrial function and ability to adapt to stressors, basically that element of resilience. So it's really powerful. Now, how should somebody go about using, first off, how should they go about looking for an infrared sauna? And then what is the best way to use it?
So looking for one, what's most important is the quantity of infrared getting into your body, and you thinking of it as like multivitamins or supplements or food. You started talking about nutrition.
Hmm.
As far as you want, if you're eating certain things for the benefits, you want to have it as much absorbed into your body as possible, right? Because that's why you're eating it. And it's the same thing with infrared. Is you don't want any waste. You want all of that energy into your body. And what we've worked on for so many years at Sunlighten is mastering the quantity of infrared into your body. So you can't get more infrared anyplace else but Sunlighten, which is a nice peace of mind factor to people listening. So you're going to get 99% absorbed. So that's really important. I particularly, I'm passionate about all of the wavelengths separately, independently, isolated. So I think that's something to look for. Can you get far infrared? Can you get mid infrared? Can you get near separately than red? Because that's important to separate them out, but have them in the same place. So that's important. I think that the quality of the cabin, if you're looking at a wooden cabin, is really important. The quality of the wood, the quality of the materials, the sustainability of the wood is really important to me. It's important to Sunlighten. So we use all woods that are sustainable, and we work with, we're very particular about the companies that we work with, and we have been working with all of our suppliers for a very long time, so we know them really, really well. EMFs and safety is really important, so I think that's something to look for. We cancel out all of our EMFs, so that's not an issue. And I think also, I mean, for us, what we're really proud of is when we started this, we've evolved over the years, and we control every part of the process. So most like companies that sell infrared, they outsource it from Asia, and then they ship it to you. But we design and manufacture and research and patent, and I mean, this is all our stuff, and then we source and we put it together, and then we ship it to you. So we own every part of the process. So I think that's really important as well. As far as you said, your other question was,
Yeah, yeah. Before we do that, you touched on materials, but I think that's really important too because the wood pieces are often glued together for a lot of
yes,
saunas, and a lot of the glues have toxic chemicals in them. And so,
yes.
how do you guys go about constructing the actual sauna? What kind of materials are being used?
Yeah, so we had everything we've done over the years is all because of mistakes, and learning.
Sure.
And so when we first started, oh my gosh, it was so hard because we didn't know what we didn't know, and we trusted, manufacturers, and we trusted suppliers, and we just, learned through hard knocks. And one of the things we learned early on was that when you assemble the sauna, you know, wood bends and it changes depending on how it's heated. And so what we did is we created an environment where we use magnets to make sure the wood panels are sealed really tight to prevent warping and cracking. And that's really important. So we also made sure that for the most part, magnets are our main way to put the sauna together. There are some times where we do have to use other things, and we make sure that it is completely safe, and kind of use the edible test of like, is it something you could eat? And if it's not, then we're not going to use it. So the materials are really, really important. And I would also say the type of woods. Let's talk about that for a second. I haven't talked about this in a while, and this is really important for people when you get into an environment and then you heat it, and it's wood. You have to make sure that wood, because wood can be toxic. There's lots of different types of woods. There's actually a chart called the toxic wood chart, and from people who have had adverse events associated with just being exposed to wood. And then you heat it up, and you can imagine, and again, this is something we learned back in the basement from people calling up and they're saying, oh my gosh, my eyes itch, or my skin has a rash, and what's going on? And so we went on a quest to find hypoallergenic woods and to make sure. So that's something that's unique, to Sunlighten.
Mm-hmm.
And, we did it because we had people that complained. And we're in this business because it's healing and it's non-toxic and it's safe and natural. And so we want to make sure every step of the way we're consistent with our design and we don't do anything, to hurt people. We're more than a product company. We're really like a wellness company in all aspects. So it's really important to us that we want you to be, healthier. Our brand promise is, we want to bring light, hope, and happiness to people everywhere.
Yeah, I love that mission statement. And let's talk about how to use your sauna.
Yeah, so you want to start low and slow. And what I mean by that is everybody is different, and most people are not, they just don't get a lot of infrared energy. And so you want to, start to just see how you feel and then go up. And I like to recommend first, 10 minutes, then 15 minutes, and then work up. The ideal point when you start to be acclimated is 40 minutes. That's ideal. If you can only do 30, that's fine. Consistency is more important than intensity. So consistent use, all the studies talk about consistent use. And that's what, like for inflammation, consistent use is what like brings down those inflammatory biomarkers. And so that's what you want to do. It's better to do 15 minutes 3 to 4 times a week than one day at 40 minutes. So the other thing that's really important is to hydrate. That's critical. That's if you only remember one thing about your experience, that's it, is to make sure you hydrate before, during, and after, because this energy is, it's going to move stuff around, and then it's also going to remove, some of your electrolytes. So you need to pay attention to that, and to replenish. So it's going to remove bad stuff, but there's also, you just want to make sure you pay attention to your minerals, and I always do electrolytes afterwards, and sometimes when I'm in there, I'll put some sea salt, and coconut water while I'm inside my sauna.
Yeah, good hydration is key in general. You want to keep things moving through your body like a river, not being stagnant like a pond. In Chinese medicine, they say stagnicity, blood, lymph, right? And metabolic waste stagnation is at the root of chronic disease. And so you want to be hydrating well anyways. And then the sauna really helps with improving circulation, improving all the drainage, opening up and moving things out and improving overall drainage pathways. So yeah, that's a key tip. Now, is there a particular temperature range that you find tends to work best?
Yeah, great question. I'm so glad you brought up temperature. This is like a myth. A lot of people pay so much attention to temperature because that's the indicator of success for traditional saunas, right? So you go in traditional sauna, dry sauna, it's typically 170, 180, 190. It just depends, but around that area. And that's how you know that it's hot. With infrared, it doesn't work that way. Temperature is irrelevant. So what the most important thing is you want the transfer of the waves into your body. And the transfer begins the moment you turn the sauna on. As soon as you turn it on, in fact, the lowest temperature, like right when you turn it on, the far infrared waves are most easily absorbed because the wavelength is the longest at that particular moment in time. As temperature rises, the wavelength shortens and you don't get as much into your body. So to answer the question exactly, because people are going to be saying, well, what? Just so I have an idea, 110 to 140 is a good range that you will probably see while you're in there, but it is not an indicator of success. So the indicator of success, I loved what you brought up, stagnation, is you want that energy in there just to eliminate stagnation, right? And to increase mobility and get everything moving in your body so you can promote detoxification, decreased inflammation, better sleep, better mood, more energy. And that only happens through that transfer of energy. So don't worry about temperature. It's also, think about temperature as what do I enjoy? Like, how, you can play around with it and what's my personal preference. And if have the best experience, when you're in there, then you can kind of look and see, oh, okay, I kind of like it when it's around, 110. I kind of like when it's around 120. And then you can just, reapply the next time. But depending on what's going on in my day, I'll either go in, I'll turn it on and get in, and then, spend 20 to 40 minutes in there. Or sometimes if I want that experience of a little bit, hotter, then I'll turn it on and go do some stuff, get my, salt water and everything, and then come back and start my day or start my sauna session.
Yeah, that's good. It's good to know. A lot of people think it has to be really hot. And I know for myself, I enjoy it when it's really hot. Like I like that heat stress and I feel like I
Yes.
sweat so much more and I'm activating more of those heat shock proteins. But what you're saying as far as absorbing the different rays, the different infrared wavelengths, you're actually going to absorb more at a lower temperature. Is that what you were saying?
Yes. Yes. And I agree with you. And I mean, there's benefit, the heat shock proteins are magical, right? And we know how much infrared can impact them. And I mean, I love activating them and making your body stronger and building up resilience and all of those benefits. So you can do both. And it really is, my recommendation is once you start to, have the experience, is find the experience that's
Yeah.
going to lead to consistent use, because it's more about that. And if you like it hotter and you love, I mean, I love that feeling too. I feel I get so much more energy, after a Sunlighten session, both like physically, mentally. I just feel clearer. I'm ready to go. And so I will do both. However, the times that I turn it on and get in are times where I want to make sure and get my session in.
Mm.
And so I always tell people, because sometimes I hear from people, they say, well, I turn it on and then I have to wait for it to warm up. And you don't have to wait for it to warm up. That's the key in that.
Mm.
So either way it works, and you're going to get benefits both ways for sure. And if you like the higher levels of heat, then that's okay, then do that.
Yeah, yeah, compliance is really key and there's a lot of people
Yes.
like you and I are in great health and so we can handle that heat stress of having the heat really elevated. We've been using saunas for a long time. Whereas a lot of people out there, they are dealing with chronic inflammatory conditions and they're worn out. And so too much heat stress actually overloads their system and they get worse. And so just getting in before it really gets hot is actually one of the best ways for people that are dealing with these sort of complex chronic illnesses to start bringing down inflammation and start to improve the amount of stress they can handle, the amount of heat stress that they're able to handle. I kind of compare it to walking versus, let's say, doing high intensity interval training, right? So
Yeah.
walking is actually, tons of research about all the great benefits we get from walking. It's so healthy for our body. Of course, there's tremendous benefits to doing high intensity interval training as well that are more advanced than walking. But there's a lot of people that if they were to try to do high intensity interval training, they would overtrain. They would actually overwhelm their system and aggravate inflammatory conditions. And so just walking for those people is extremely therapeutic. And if you are really healthy, walking actually is still very therapeutic, and you can do the hit.
Yeah, I've started incorporating actually both Aaron and I, who's my business partner and also my husband and co-founder and all of that. So we have started incorporating walking after post meals.
Yep.
So, and it has become such a just wonderful time to download and to share the day, and as well as again going back to that flow and movement, and getting your, helping with that digestion. And it just feels, and I also am a huge fan of HIT. I'm a huge fan of HIT after I do it. I don't love it. I'll
Yeah.
be honest. I do not love it while I'm doing it. Man, it's hard. But when I'm done, similar, it just you get that just that
Yeah.
mood change, and I really love that. And we didn't talk about the mood aspect, but I do want to mention because that's really important. Is the infrared really helps your mood, and it really helps you just, it sets off all these happy chemicals in your body. You just feel lighter and more restored afterwards, and happier, and that to me is just such a it's just such a beautiful benefit, and something that I don't talk about a lot, but I always notice myself just how much more energy I have afterwards, and how like levity, I'm just lighter, afterwards. And as a result, I feel better, I feel great, and my mood is improved. And that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. We know that depression, anxiety, these are conditions that are related to brain inflammation and poor mitochondrial function in the brain. And sauna, obviously, the infrared will obviously help with that. And it really is a great metaphor using it, kind of thinking about it kind of like exercise. Like there's a lot of times where I'm thinking, gosh, there's so many other things I could do, but I need to go do whatever 20 minutes in the sauna. A lot of times I think that in my head, I'll think I'm too busy for this. But then after I do the sauna, I'm like, why would I ever go a day without doing this? So because I feel so much better. And it's kind of like that with exercise. A lot of times, anybody that has pursued fitness, we've all, all of us have experienced it where it's like, you know what? I don't want to go through the pain of the fitness. And I also could do a lot of other things with this time, and I'm busy. So we kind of have this natural inertia in our head, but then we get the workout in, and then later we feel like, wow, like I'm so glad I got that workout in. And it's kind of the same thing with sauna. And I find that that's the biggest issue is a lot of people just have a lack of compliance when they get the sauna. And I've at times struggled with that. Fortunately, actually, since our last conversation, I've committed to 90 to 120 minutes every single week, broken up. Usually it's 20 minutes a day or something like that, four
Yeah,
to 5 days a week. And yeah, it's been life changing.
that's a great goal, and 20 minutes is great. Like, I love hearing that, because I think so often we get into this mental trap where we talk ourselves out of something because it's not perfect. We let
Mm.
perfection be the enemy of good enough, and good enough is 20 15 20 minutes. You'll be shocked at how much better you feel with just a little bit of time, consistent, with consistent use. So I love that you're doing that. It's a
Yeah,
great
actually, after our
role
last
modeling.
conversation, I was like, which was about a year ago, I was
Yeah,
like, I've got the sauna. I just need to be able to commit to it. And so I've just integrated into my morning routine. And like I said, I do it usually 3 to 5 times a week. And my goal is typically a minimum of 90 minutes altogether. That's usually my goal. And I would say most weeks I'm hitting that. And
that's great.
upwards, at times I get up over 100 minutes a week. And yeah, it's been amazing. My mood, my productivity, my ability to focus and concentrate. So even though I thought, gosh, I don't have that time. I've got 4 young kids, marriage, business to run. I've got all these things that I'm doing. I can't afford 100 minutes a week to put into that. But I found that I'm so much better in every role of my life by committing that time. And of course, I'm reading during that time too. So it's like I'm learning about different topics. I'm thinking about different things as I'm writing a book right now. It gives me time to just process thoughts and think. And so it's not like, just stagnant time. You can do things while you're in the sauna.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite benefits is habit stacking, and they're doing what else do I need to do? And instead of just doing whatever I'm going to do at my desk or some like that, I'll just take that into the sauna. And because now I am, having this wonderful healing experience, reducing inflammation, helping with pain, getting, more energy, which is great because I've got such a busy schedule, like you said, managing kids and business and all of that stuff that like, how do I fit it all in? But when I go in there, I figure it out, or, I can get other things done. Or the other thing is, I'll just time out, and do meditation or breath work, stretching. And there's just the list goes on, and you can do anything. I love that you do the book thing because I find, as I think I mentioned earlier, that my head, I mean, the mental clarity, because I'm getting all this oxygen, from the promotion of blood flow and oxygen to the tissues and everything. Everything's helping with my brain function, increased brain function, decreasing inflammation. And as a result, you just think clear. And I find I get a little creativity in there. So I start to come up with all sorts of different thoughts. And so, I think the book idea is amazing because what a great use of your time, And another thing you could do post, we haven't talked about this, but another thing you could do post sauna is, do a cold shower. You could do contrast therapy, you could do an ice plunge. I mean, and then that helps as well keep up, you just activated your heat shock proteins. You just helped with resilience inside the sauna. And then, cold significantly helps with your, resilience. So that's another thing that you can do.
Yeah, love it. Really good stuff. Also, a good idea to take some sort of like a detox binder, something like zeolite, fulvic humic acids, chlorella is another option, charcoal, activated charcoal. There's diatomaceous earth, lots of different types of binders. So, as these toxins are liberated, obviously we're removing them through our sweat, but also they're getting into circulation. And, part of hydrating well, we're urinating them out, we're defecating them out. But the more we can bind them, the better elimination we're going to have. So taking a binder before you go in can be really helpful. A lot of people will do things like Tudka as well, which helps move your bile, right? And bile is one way that you help eliminate toxins, and it will help trap more toxins. And so you can stack a bunch of things to help with detoxification, to help with cellular health. You mentioned doing a cold plunge or a cold shower. So getting some cold stress right after you get the heat stress is actually it's you probably have the most tolerance to it. I know for myself, I kind of crave the cold shower after I get out of the sauna, but you're also getting another form of hormetic stress
Right.
on the cells and challenging them to adapt, which makes you more resilient.
Right. I love that. Some other tips that you can do: dry brushing
Mm.
before. I know a lot of people that do a castor oil pack inside the sauna. So that's, something else that you can do. And I mean,
Yeah, it's
there's
a great
just like
idea. Castor oil pack in the sauna. Yep.
in the sauna. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a great way to promote detoxification as well. The dry brushing is great. I mean, I usually end my sauna session with a couple yoga poses and just getting myself grounded and centered. And that mentally is just it's really just great to put yourself kind of back, in the just grounded place. And I start to think about my intentions. Okay, what am I about to do? And it's just a great tool. I mean, and we're talking about inflammation. Impacts and decreases inflammation throughout your entire body while you can do other things. I mean, what a great way to treat yourself.
Yeah, it's great. Guys, you can check out sunlighten.com, or you can go, if you're looking at getting a great infrared sauna, go to get.sunlighten.com/ Dr. Jockers. You can use the coupon code Jockers at checkout. That'll save you $600. And go out there and browse. She's got a bunch of different types of saunas, so a lot of different options that you can look at, and anything people should know, as they're navigating through your website.
There's 4 different collections. That's important. So, I've talked a lot about all 4 wavelengths because it's really important that everybody knows, that about the infrared spectrum and the power of each wavelength. So that's important. However, far infrared, something I didn't touch on, far infrared is the foundation of the 3 to 4 wavelengths, and it is the one that activates the inflammation, inflammatory marker. I mean, near and red also help with that as well. But if you're not ready yet, I've talked. I mean, I feel like I've set the stage for nerd, like the the highest level, which is impulse, behind me. But if you're not ready for that, that's okay. I would rather you get started with something than wait until you're ready. And the Solo, which is a lie down portable model, is super easy to use, plug and play. I mean, it's just so simple. That's an excellent foundational choice that'll help you with detoxification. It'll help you with better sleep, better mood, decreased inflammation, like almost everything that we talked about. So that's a good way to get started. And then we have 3 other collection series that have different technologies. Not all of them have the 4 wavelengths. Signature also just has far infrared. Amplify has a blend for a more intense experience, and then Impulse has all 4. And then one other thing that people should know is if you want to start with the light therapy with near infrared and red light, we also have a standalone panel that you can get that has the exact frequency needed to transform the cells for everything we talked about. Because you have to be so careful today with products out there because, red light is red light is red light to the consumer, right? To you and like me, if you just see it, you don't know which frequency it has. But Sunlighten has the right frequency, and that's what's really important. You don't want a red light bulb. You want a particular nanometer frequency that's going to, impact your mitochondria and help with your cell health and decrease inflammation. So that's something else that they should know. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's pretty, I mean, our team is so knowledgeable and they're so passionate about helping people and finding the right fit. So that's my number one recommendation is to get in contact with somebody, and you can do it by chat, you can do it by text, you can do it by calling, and you can tell them how you want to, be reached, but they will answer all of your questions, make you feel comfortable, make sure that you get the right product for you.
Well, that's great, Connie. And guys, again, you can check out get.sunlighten.com/ Dr. Jockers. And there's a coupon code Jockers. You can save up to $600 on your sauna. And of course, talk to their team so they can help customize the right sauna for you. And Connie, you guys are doing a great job bringing health, hope, and happiness to people, or light, I should say, light, hope, and happiness to people. And any last words of inspiration here for our audience?
I'm so thankful that you asked me to come on, and I'm so thankful that you were doing this summit. I think inflammation is just at the root of all these so many problems, and is a problem that a lot of people have. And this is a way that we know for sure that can help and decrease inflammation, and also reduce any type of pain, and help to turn back the biological clock. And the great news is you feel great. I mean, you feel great while you're doing it. And we want people to feel better and to be able to do more of what they love to do with the people they love to do it with and live their fullest life. And that's what we've committed our lives to. And infrared is one of the ways that we bring that commitment to life. So I am available if anybody has other questions after they view this. If you want to reach out to me at Sunlighten, feel free to do that. Our team is available. I want people to be educated and knowledgeable and feel good about their decisions, and I'm happy to help.
Well, thanks again, Connie. Hopefully this inspired you guys. If you already have a sauna, to get in it and start using it. And if you don't, again, reach out to get.sunlighten.com/Dr. Jockers. And you can use that coupon code Jockers at checkout to save money on your order. And we'll see you all on a future interview. Be blessed, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in to Dr. Talks. We hope today's episode has enlightened and inspired you on your path to optimal health. Each day is a new opportunity to make choices that empower your well-being. For more insights and strategies, subscribe to our podcast and visit our website, www.drtalks.com. Stay connected, stay healthy, and join us next time on Dr. Talks. Real talks from real doctors on the issues that matter to you most.